Right now at noon, a former head of Quapaw Nation passes away after a brief illness.
And it's wet, it's windy, wind advisories in effect, rain pushing into the area. We'll have a look at your forecast coming up.
Plus, seasonal funding gaps could have an impact on the Joplin Head Start program. One nonprofit looks to lend a hand.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
A longtime former leader of Quapaw Nation has died. This is KOAM News at noon. I'm Samantha Walker. Former Quapaw Nation chairman John Berry has died following a brief illness. Berry's family and a post on the tribe's website confirmed the former leader's passing on Saturday. Berry served the tribe for nearly 2 decades and is credited as being instrumental in the development of 2 large-scale casino projects. Berry's legacy does carry some controversy as allegations of financial misconduct dogged the latter part of his career. Quapaw Nation and the Berry family released a statement which said in part, quote, Chairman Berry dedicated decades to the Quapaw Nation, serving as tribal chairman for 18 years. His contributions and his dedication to the advancement of the nation will be felt for generations to come, end quote. John Berry was 80 years old. The SEK Recycling Center will shut down after tomorrow as financial pressures mount. Officials say soaring insurance costs and plummeting recycled material prices created an impossible situation. The center relies on community donations and seeks public help for reopening. The Community Foundation is also launching a November fundraising campaign to rescue the facility. Now let's check in with Chris Warner for a look at the forecast.
Yeah, we're still seeing the clouds across the area, much cloudier now than it was this morning. Not like it was clear this morning by any means. Live look downtown Pittsburgh. Heading over to the MoDOT camera, 20th and Range Line in Joplin. It's dry in Pittsburgh. It's dry in Joplin. However, that's about to change. And this added since this morning, we have wind advisories for a good portion of the area. Now up north, these run through 10 o'clock Wednesday morning because there's 5 different weather service offices that cover our region. But the majority of these will run until 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, with those wind gusts expected to really pick up. Here's what we've got. So we have 1 lightning strike, and there was one earlier just south of Newcastle County. Honestly, I am having a hard time spotting it, but I did mention we could get a rumble of thunder or 2 with some of this activity. We have showers. Oh, there it is, right on the I-49 symbol south of Bentonville there into Washington County, Arkansas. We've got showers pushing into the region. They will continue to spread east, and as mentioned, they filled in pretty nicely. We have some heavier rain out now into parts of Chautauqua County. We have new development taking place on the leading edge, and that's where we're seeing some of that thunderstorm activity out there stretching back into Berry County. For the numbers, we started yesterday at 53, so 9 degrees above normal, but look at that. We were 6 degrees below normal for the high, only topping out at 61. And there's the boundary just off to our west, and here's our temperatures. We've actually warmed a little more so than what was expected. We've got some low 60s out there. So again, we were expecting the upper 50s in most cases and then hovering around the mid 50s through the day, but we have done a little bit of warming as the rain is a little bit later than expected. But we'll have the heavy rain start building in. We're going to fall back through the 40s as we head to the late evening hours, and we'll have those winds out of the northwest tonight, gusting upwards of 35 to 40 miles an hour. We're going to break down details on our rain chances from tonight into tomorrow and have the latest on the powerful Hurricane Melissa here in just a few more minutes. So, Samantha?
Thanks, Chris. The government shutdown has impacted many different areas across the nation, including right here in the 4 states. KOAM's Ty Park sat down with the nonprofit organization Economic Security Corporation to talk about the impact on the Head Start program.
So it started out small. In October, there were just 5 programs affected, about 6,500 children. Then November 1st, there are several grantees. There are 141 nationwide, including Puerto Rico. And so they will not, if they close on November 1st, that's 65,000 children affected. So every time a program's grant cycle is due and it's up, without the funding, they're forced to close.
The Head Start programs offer the service of childcare to families up to 100% of the poverty line.
So in Joplin, we're very fortunate. Our grant cycle runs April 1st to March 31st. So we have funding until March 31st of 2026. So although we feel safe, I'm encouraging all of my staff and our parents in our program to reach out and support the other programs.
The majority of families that use Head Start are working in service and delivery-based industries.
And so if those families can't work, that means our community stops operating well. And so places like fast food restaurants or car washes or Walmart, those places don't have the workers anymore. So it's really important that they have places like us, especially now with the talk of SNAP and WIC benefits not being available.
There is no immediate chance of a Head Start shutdown in Joplin, but this is something Economic Security Corporation is keeping a close eye on.
And so even though my grant's due January 1st, and they usually look into it by February, it could be very close to when my grant ends, March 31st. It could really put us at risk for closing in April if they're backlogged and haven't had a chance to look at my grant.
In Joplin, Ty Parks, KOAM News.
The Economic Security Corporation is collecting food and other resources that will be used to help the community since SNAP benefits may not be issued in November. Well, times are tough for many people in our area, and the holiday season can multiply those difficulties. The good news is there are many organizations in the 4 states driven to alleviate those difficulties, such as hunger. We have a list of food pantries and other organizations on our website that provide help to the community. Don't hesitate to reach out for assistance or to volunteer your time and services or make a donation. Just head over to KOAMnewsnow.com and search for food pantries in the 4-state area. Members of the Southeast Kansas community came out to show their support for helping those in need at this year's Farm to Fork Festival at the Greenway in downtown Pittsburgh. The festival celebrates the local harvest, as well as promotes sustainable practices and raises community awareness about where your food comes from before it hits your dinner table. All proceeds and donations go to the Wesley House, which provides food pantry services for those in need.
I'd say the inspiration behind that would actually be my mom. It was her idea to host a farm-to-table harvest event. I just found an opportunity in a city committee where I could make a difference. So the inspiration behind hosting it is to make sure that we're being sustainable.
Again, all those proceeds did go to the Wesley House. Well, coming up, President Trump wrapped up his trip to Japan, meeting with the new prime minister. His next stop, South Korea. And later, we're making a Don't Peek chicken in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen. President Trump wrapped up his stop in Japan, announcing a new trade deal, new investments in the U.S. economy, and speaking to sailors and Marines stationed in Japan. Natalie Brand has more details from the White House.
The secret to today's recipe is not to look at it. It'll all make sense when you hear why.
President Trump ended a full day in Japan addressing business leaders and looking ahead to his high-stakes meeting later this week with Chinese President Xi Jinping. It's a big meeting and it's going to work out very well, actually. I think it's going to be great for everybody, said Trump. Before sitting down with the CEOs, the president signed an agreement to work with Japan to extract critical rare earth minerals, a resource China dominates, processing more than 90% of the world's supply. Bolstering the alliance with Japan, President Trump said Japan's order for F-35 missiles will be delivered soon as he spoke to sailors and Marines aboard the USS George Washington. The president also forged a fast friendship with Japan's newly elected Prime Minister, Sanae Takahashi. He said, anything I can do to help Japan, we will be there, and we are an ally at the strongest level. During their visit, the Trump administration announced it would lower its tariff on Japanese goods to 15%, and says Japan pledged to invest more than $500 billion in U.S. industry, though details are not yet clear. The Commerce Secretary says these deals are driven by the Japanese Strategic Investment Initiative, which was created by your tariff policy and by your historic trade agreement with Japan. Japan's Prime Minister also announced a new gift of a long-standing friendship and diplomacy between the two countries, 250 new cherry trees that will go to Washington, D.C. to honor America's 250th birthday next year. Those details coming from Natalie Brand with CBS News. The president heads to South Korea next, the last stop on his trip. That's where he's scheduled to meet with Chinese officials Thursday. Well, still to come on KOAM News at noon, Mr. Food.
The secret to today's recipe is not to look at it. It'll all make sense when you hear why.
And we've got the rain moving into the area. We're also keeping an eye on Hurricane Melissa. We'll have details on all of that when we come back. Welcome back to the KOAM News at Noon on this pretty cloudy day out there. We're starting with that live look from downtown Pittsburgh. Now in Pittsburgh, we have the clouds, not the rain yet, but take a look. It is right there knocking on the door. The only thunderstorm activity we've seen is this little cell here that's now northeast of Fayetteville into northwestern Arkansas. Otherwise, we've got rain building in across virtually all of northeastern Oklahoma, southern half of Delaware County. Don't worry, the rain is on the way. Starting to push in around Seneca, just west of Neosho in Pineville. Good portion of southeast Kansas now into the rain as well. In Pittsburgh, Girard, Columbus, Joplin, all knocking on your door. This rain will continue to push east across the region and bring us, again, the opportunity still for an isolated rumble of thunder or two. And that's honestly, I mean, it's not in our immediate area, but it kind of gives you that idea that that's a possibility, though thunderstorm activity is expected to be quite limited if we see much more. It's just really going to be the rain all blending together here. In addition, we have the wind advisory. So what we've got now, we talked this morning, winds later this evening switching out of the northwest, gusting upwards of 35 to 40. Well, the reason these wind advisories came out is some new data suggests those winds could gust upwards of 45 miles an hour in some cases. So we're talking very breezy out there, out of the northwest. So again, east-west highways, that's what you want to be careful on. And even some north-south ones, especially in high-profile vehicles. Showers, few rumbles of thunder, heavy rain continuing as we head through the afternoon into the evening hours. And as we go overnight, it's going to continue to rain, and some of that rain could be heavy. However, some additional new data is suggesting now that maybe, just maybe, this rain wraps up a little earlier on our Wednesday. Starts moving out a little earlier, at least for the western half of us, so that might bring some of the rain chances down. But outside of that, we should start to still clear by late in the day Wednesday, so after sunset really. But then our Thursday still looks fantastic, a mix of those mostly clear to partly cloudy skies out there, but still a bit below average. So here's what we've got. This is incredible at this point. Hurricane Melissa actually intensified as it made landfall. Winds jumped up to 185 miles an hour. Based on the formula we discussed during our morning show, there's a maximum potential intensity, and it changes through the season, the tropical season, but it's the maximum strength that the atmosphere can support in terms of a storm. The formula for this time of year, this thing has beat that formula at this point. The eye still very well intact, not as big as you can see, but still very well intact. And again, it's one of those situations, think of it this way, with the intense winds around that eye, gusts over 200 miles an hour. We're looking at a 10-12 mile wide EF4, almost EF5 tornado tracking across western Jamaica at a very slow pace, taking several hours, moving north-northeast at 9. Now you can see as it made landfall too, it took a northerly jog, but it's expected now to curve back to the north and east. Still expected to make landfall in Cuba late tonight, early tomorrow morning, and still is a strong hurricane, possibly still Category 4 status. And then it will head out to Bermuda and Turks and Caicos and eventually turn back into the Atlantic and, of course, begin to weaken more so as it pushes on off to the northeast. Not expected to have any direct impacts in the continental United States. Here are those cameras. Again, these are around the Kingston area. This is Kingston Bay in Jamaica. And again, it's in Kingston, much further east of the eye. Not as intense, but the bay, you can see those waves still really riding. And there's been somebody monitoring and manning these cameras all morning long. So you can see them adjusting, but just absolutely incredible down there. Life-threatening situation for sure for folks down in Jamaica. Thankfully for us, we're just getting rain. We're getting rain that we need, though, which is very good up here. Again, so we're actually warmer now than what was expected. Tomorrow, though, still low 50s. We'll go into the low 40s tonight. Rain will start to wrap up, still breezy. That's why those wind advisories continue through 1 o'clock for many of us tomorrow afternoon. Then after that, upper 50s Thursday, Halloween, chilly but dry. Clear skies, 60 for the high, back in the upper 30s. So if you're doing the late night trick-or-treating, just make sure you're bundled up and ready to go. You don't want to get sick. You don't want the kids getting sick.
You know, it makes it harder to enjoy the candy that way.
It does. Yeah, especially if you're not feeling well, you can't taste it.
Yeah, well, thank you so much, Chris. Stick around. We're making Don't Peek Chicken in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen. We'll be right back. We're making Don't Peek Chicken in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
We're always creating new one-pot recipes here in the Test Kitchen because we love the convenience of only having one pot to wash. Plus, with one-pot meals, our whole dinner, the main dish and side dish, is ready for us at the same time. Can't beat that. All we have to do is mix together a can each of cream of mushroom and celery soup, and those can be low sodium, with some onion soup mix, water, a bit of garlic, a touch of fresh parsley, and a shake or two of Worcestershire sauce. To that, we add a cup of uncooked rice. Yep, uncooked. Give that a good mix, and into a baking dish it goes. We press some chicken pieces into the rice and finish it off with a bit of paprika. Now, the most budget-friendly way is probably to buy a whole chicken that's already cut up into pieces, but you can use all light or dark meat if you want. Cover it and bake it for an hour and 15 minutes or so. Even though you'll be tempted to open it, don't. It's the steam that cooks everything to perfection, so your family can sit down to a piping hot one-pot meal with a side dish already baked in. Just remember, the key is not to peek while it's cooking. That's why we call it Don't Peek Chicken. So what are you waiting for? The recipe's online, and this dish is just as good reheated the next day as it is the first time around. Of course, that's assuming you'll have any leftovers. I'm Howard from the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where every day we're looking for an easier way for you to say, ooh, it's so good.
Now here's a look at the 4 state market prices.
Getting a little warmer today, some of us into the low 60s now, but rain building across the region and breezy wind advisories through at least 1 o'clock tomorrow. Gusts 45, 50 miles an hour. Low 50s tomorrow, rain wrapping up by noon 1. Dry on Thursday, Halloween chilly, but otherwise dry as well.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, what do you have coming up for us at 5 tonight?
Well, a lot's coming up at 5. For starters, new technology is helping detect cancers earlier. Radiologists say artificial intelligence, or AI, is a useful tool to finding cancers that might not be picked up otherwise. During this Breast Cancer Awareness Month, one survivor credits AI for her early diagnosis. Plus, what safety tips area law enforcement wants families to keep in mind when going door to door this Halloween. And community members gather in Joplin today for a groundbreaking celebrating Ewart Park's renovation. Hope you'll join us for those stories. A lot more, of course. It's coming up today. KOAM News at 5.
Well, thanks so much, Dow. That's the news for now. Thank you for joining us for KOAM News at noon. Have a great afternoon.